For years, concerns have raged on about online privacy and security when it comes to TikTok. One thing that has received less attention is the mental health impact of the popular app, with more than 1.6 billion users worldwide. With more on the potentially detrimental impact of the app, I am joined by Dr. Sanam Hafeez, a New York-based psychologist. She teaches at Columbia University. Thank you, Dr. Hafeez, for your time tonight. Let's start by breaking down some of the most prevalent TikTok trends that are really worrisome to people like yourself right now. Let's start with this idea of bed rotting. What is that?
So it sounds like bed rotting is exactly what the word suggests, that you just lie in bed for hours, maybe days on end, and just sort of using it as a mental health coping strategy.
Okay, but if you're a parent, this is not something that you should be allowing in your household, right?
No, definitely not for teenagers, because they're at the highest risk for not just the mental health impact that TikTok trends can bring on, but this is a very susceptible population to begin with. And if you've been following the research, there's a huge concern about mental health detrimental effects of social media in general, especially on young women. They're more impressionable, and bed rotting just basically means that you're not getting out of bed, you're not taking a shower, you're not going to school, you're not seeing your friends, you're not part of your family. And very much like the concept in physics, an object in motion stays in motion, it's really hard to get that momentum going once you think that it's okay to stay in bed for that period of time.
Now, when they're there bed rotting, of course, and they're scrolling, whether it's TikTok or anything else, filters are so prevalent these days, but obviously has potential harmful side effects.
Significantly so. One of the reasons that I'm noticing this extensive amount of, self-esteem issues and body image issues, body dysmorphia, look, this stuff is not new, but it definitely has taken a turn for the worst. And I think that there are a lot of women, young and older, but definitely the young, again, the more impressionable age. These girls don't like how they look without the filters. And it's really scary, because then the bed rotting is sort of like, you keep playing with these filters and you don't want to get out of bed because you don't like what looks back at you in the mirror, because you're used to seeing such a skewed image of yourself. And this goes for like these bold and glamour filters as much as it goes for the aged filter that really pronounces and emphasizes all the things that most women are worried about looking like at some point in the future. And I don't think that they're a very accurate depiction of what you will look like. But that's what these filters are aiming to do. And, dermatologists and plastic surgeons, they're reporting a 700% increase in calls to their offices for cosmetic procedures. And that's pretty worrisome.
Yeah, that's very alarming. 700%, you said?
Something along those lines, yeah.
Oh. That's horrible. There is some good, though. You can follow motivational or inspirational TikTok influencers, for instance, and, you learn about self-affirmations and feeling positive throughout the day. Even then, though, you say that the idea of glowing up and lucky girl syndrome, that's a whole nother thing that you get into. Those can have a negative side effect. We have less than 30 seconds, by the way.
Yeah, okay. I learn a lot about these things from my patients who talk about this. And, there's a good and a bad to this. I think that TikTok has introduced an immense amount of social awareness of mental health. But I think the downside is that these influencers are just that. They're not mental health experts. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and you don't really get to see their real journey. So they're making you feel like they are on this all the time. And when you compare your journey to theirs, that may not match up. And then you feel like, I'm dropping the ball on even this, which of course is cyclical, right? The filters, the bed rotting. And there's no, such thing as a lucky girl syndrome. It's a good thing to have positive affirmations and have an optimistic viewpoint, but you have to follow through with actual actions, right? You have to get out of bed. You have to look for that job and all that.
Okay. Dr. Sanam Hafeez, I hope I said your name right. Thank you so much for staying up late. I know you're on the East Coast, so appreciate you.
Thank you.